Quick hits, three things that you may have come across in the news that I wanted to touch on. The art of the deal. That describes President Trump to a T. Everything to him is a deal. He treats the White House, in my opinion, like a business. And so he will treat his presidency like a business. And when you have, or when you're able to negotiate from a position of strength or have more power than the other individual, or in this case, other country you're negotiating with, you will use that power and strength to get what you want. And President Trump is clearly trying to do that. Second point, Trump is talking about, or President Trump, I should say, is talking about drill, baby, drill, trying to bring down oil prices. And the administration believes that by bringing down oil prices, this will offset some of the inflation that tariffs are going to cause, at least initially. Our number three quick hit, Nvidia plans to manufacture AI chips for the first time in the United States. And, well, a lot of good that has done them, because you would have thought, well, if they've agreed to manufacture in the US, that perhaps the president wouldn't be as hard on them in other aspects. But here you have it, where the president says, Nvidia, you can no longer send your H20 chips to China. So let's talk about the art of the deal. Our first quick hit. We have an interesting little diagram here, and it shows the back and forth between China, between the US. That's kind of a neat way of doing that. Little arrows going back and forth. But make no mistake about it, it's been spoken about by press secretary, by many, Treasury secretary, and they've said that the president planned a lot of this from day one, that he would come out with very high tariffs to bring countries to the negotiating table. He would then have a sort of a blackout period of 3 or 4 days, let everybody kind of squirm, let all the countries figure out what they want to do next. And then he would come out and say, okay, we're open to negotiations. And boy, did they line up for that as anticipated. I even think that President Trump anticipated that China wouldn't come to the negotiating table, but the other countries would, and that would further alienate China from the rest of the world. Well, is it a so far so good scenario? I don't know, but I think the art of the deal is where it all comes from. And I know President Trump's books, and there's a documentary on Netflix as to how he negotiates in business, and that is definitely not much different, it seems, anyways, as to how he's negotiating as president of the United States. Our next quick hit is the drill, baby, drill scenario, and this idea of getting oil prices down. President Trump wants to see oil prices down in the $50 range. That's great for all of us that drive cars, great for inflation, bringing it down further, but not so great for the U.S. Oil companies and oil companies in general. Our next chart, WTI oil, shows how far the price of oil has fallen. That is why I have not been a big proponent of owning oil stocks, buying oil stocks. Some of my investors still have a few oil stocks, but definitely market underweight. And I've been working slowly to remove those stocks over time, because I believe with oil prices heading towards 50, maybe even below 50, if the president can get it that way, I don't know how profitable these companies will be. We're already seeing pushback from the likes of Chevron and Exxon. They're not so keen on cutting oil production, but they're the pressure is being put on by the administration. Our last quick hit is Nvidia and this idea of them building chips in the United States. And we have, again, our chart on Nvidia. I believe it's a 1-year chart on Nvidia stock. There it is. You can see Nvidia slowly sloping from the top left to the bottom right, opposite of what we like to see. But if they do, and if they can produce through Taiwan Semi, who now has facilities in Arizona, that's the talk. I think Nvidia has said that they're going to produce quite a bit in the U.S. for the first time. How they're going to get around the higher costs of that, I'm not sure. Not sure what's going to do for Nvidia's margins. Perhaps price of their chips might have to go higher. Not exactly sure right now, but we'll see if that goes through. As I said, Trump administration coming down hard on the chip makers that deal with China right now, outlawing some of these chips going to China from the U.S. And I'm sure Nvidia is not so happy about that. So these are the three, stories in the news, quick hits that I wanted to get to, and my comments on all three of them.